Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Oh, well, it's a funny old day today. I've got the curtains open because it had gone quite overcast, so I thought I could get away with it, but the sun's coming out again. It's been a funny day. I think we're due for some storms later. I've got strawberries and cream for tea. First strawberries this year. Lovely British summertime. And I had big plans for this weekend, but I've got sidetracked. I blame Tori from Cool Cookie Creatures, because she did a video just a couple of days ago about making momigami. It seems to be all over the place at the moment. I'd never heard of it before a few days ago, and suddenly everyone's talking about it in our Discord. So I thought I'm going to have to stop and just have a go and start a project. So I think this will just be a quick video because I'm not going to get into a full-on project at the moment, but I just wanted to show you my kind of starting point of what I've tried so far. It's going to be another rabbit hole, I warn you. I've just realised I am. Yes, I'm just checking I am actually recording. Yes, I am. So momigami, which I'm probably saying wrong, momigami is a Japanese technique for kind of making paper into cloth so that you can stitch into it and use it. Traditionally, it's used for clothing and waterproofs and bags and useful kind of household items where a really durable paper is needed. There's something called Konnyaku. I'm probably saying that wrong as well, but anyway, it's a kind of a starch. You can buy it. I've actually ordered some. It's quite expensive. I think a little bit will go a long way, and it's kind of starch that's used to coat the paper first before you start the process. But at the moment there are all kinds of things. People are using all sorts of things now. Tori did a really nice, simple, accessible way, only just using hand cream, which anybody pretty much can get hold of. I've got loads of hand cream. Let me show you what I've been playing with and tell you where I am so far. Some of my experiments here. So I've got a whole lot of hand creams here. It smells gorgeous in this room. So I have got quite a backlog of hand creams where I've had lovely gifts and things, and they're all really nice and they all smell gorgeous and they all work really nicely, but more hand cream than I actually ever get around to using. And one of the nice things, like Tori said, is that while you're doing this, you're kind of giving yourself a bit of a hand treatment at the same time. I will link to Tori's video as well, and I'm sure she's going to be doing more work on this topic as well. I can't wait to see what she does with it. She does beautiful stitched collages, and so I just know it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be very inspiring. I could not wait to jump in and join in, really. And also Featherstitch House has a really good video about momigami too, so I will link to that. I might have an experiment with using something like the water that the starchy water you drain from your pasta or rice, maybe, and see if I can do something with that. It might be that I could use rice flour and that might do something, but I can't resist trying the traditional stuff. Another thing I've heard people say instead of hand cream is olive oil. I'm just a bit afraid that over time that's going to start to smell a bit rancid or something, or can do, so I thought these would be better. And I've also heard people suggesting vegetable glycerin, so I've got some of this to try. I have seen this used as well with a heavier weight card kind of stuff, like maybe like this. I've got this from scrapbooking and things, to make almost like a leather type material. I've seen people talking about leather, reminds me. I've also seen people do momigami using shoe polish and furniture polish, and actually kind of brushing it in before you even start. It seems that you can do it with all kinds of paper, but for it to be more durable, the longer fibre of paper, the better. Another way of kind of binding the paper and giving it a bit of a coating before you start, that I've heard suggested, is acrylic paints. So I had these two little pieces, it was just on cheap copy paper. I just used, when I was jelly printing, these were my kind of roll-off sheets, and I keep them in my collage paper drawer. So I had a go at momigami in these, and the coat of acrylic paint does seem to help to make it more durable, less prone to cracking and breaking down completely. So I did as one person suggested, and left one side of it just kind of blank, so it would be easier to kind of stick down. You can also iron it, but then I think you would lose a lot of the texture. I thought if I did decide to run it, what I might do is try running it through my laminator, but just between paper, not with a laminator sheet, obviously. So yeah, the whole idea is just to keep crumpling. You'll see if you watch Tori's video, you just keep crumpling and opening it out again, and crumpling and opening it out again. And I sat and did these last night, and to the point where this morning I'm a little bit, you need to take it a bit easy, not to do too much at once, especially if you've got any problems with your joints and things. So to try, I'm getting overexcited and losing my thread. So this was the little scraps I had with acrylic paint on, and they went so well that I thought I'm going to try deliberately painting a couple of sheets. So I've got these, which were just out of a magazine, which I've just painted with these craft kind of acrylic paints. These came in a parcel that Zoe Hartist sent me, and this one's got the metallic kind of sheen to it, which hopefully you can see there. This one's a nice deep red colour. So I'm going to try them in a minute. I'm going to try some of this heavier weight kind of cardstock with the glycerin, I think, see if I can get that leathery look. And I know that if you use, I'll go and grab some shoe polish in a minute, and that might help to give me that leathery look, so that's going to be interesting. Let me show you the other experiments I tried now. This one is kind of falling apart a bit. I've kept a piece, so that is the same size, and obviously it's the same paper that I used, and it cut to the same size, so you can see it does shrink when you work it. And I don't know if you did iron it out again. I'm going to have to try that just to see what it's like, because I'm assuming it would stay kind of soft and workable like fabric. You just would lose the actual texture, but I might really like that, so I will be trying that, and I will update you in the next video to see how that went. So I quite like this, but obviously it's only going to give me quite small pieces, but to create little collages, which I'll then stitch into, these little pieces will be quite nice. So I'm quite happy with it, but it wasn't the most successful because of all those holes. This was a piece of wrapping paper I've got stashed away. I scrounged this off of Tom at one point. So I thought I've got to have a go at that. And you can see the kind of effect that I've got there. It's definitely more softer and durable and fabricy feeling, but I don't think it's the most, than it was before I started, but I don't think it's the most successful one. This is like I think it's like a construction paper, you would call this, and I used quite a lot of hand cream on this because it kept wanting to break. The trouble is I also found that if I used too much hand cream, that made it break more. This darker patch here is where I tried just running a quick I used a water-soluble rat's crayon over it just to add a little bit of colour and see if I could pick up the wrinkles a bit. Not terribly successfully. So yeah, I mean, it's not, it's not the most successful, but I will use small pieces. I think by the time I tear small pieces to use in fabric collages, stitched collages. But this one was done, it feels so strange. I can't describe to you how it feels, you just got to do it really. Love that side. Love that side. I love all the little sort of maze of little cracks you get there where it's wrinkled. That was from this kind of it's like a kind of reprinted newspaper. It's not original, it's not actual newsprint, it was a printed piece. It was something, a kind of museum thing that we went to. Quite like that, would definitely use it. There's nothing here that I won't use. Now, my first experiments were with this. So this is the National Trust magazine that we get through, and I tried a lot of pages of this and experimented. It just feels now, when you think this is the original, fairly typical non-shiny magazine paper. I liked it because it's non-shiny really, and this is how it came out. I mean, you can tell how different they are. And I'm dying to have a go at starting to tear these into pieces and arrange them into little collages. Some of them I can pick out bits, like you can still make out the picture of the sort of bug hotel there and the put nature first and the rabbit or hare. So I will pick out bits like that, and others I will tear up and just use them as bits of background. So yeah, it's a funny thing, and it gets quite addictive to do until your hand starts hurting and you can't do it anymore. Put hand cream on, some I just left plain. I definitely found that the hand cream helped a bit, but if I went too far, it started to make it fall apart. And I tended to find that it was better to crumple it for a little while first and then introduce the hand cream. For me, that just worked better. Raggy old fabric now that looks, doesn't it? For me, so far, my best result. So this was just a double-sided scrapbook paper. I've got quite a lot of this that I don't really tend to use anymore, but I can't bear to get rid of because I still like the designs and they cost me a lot of money at the time. So they're sitting there waiting to find a use. And I tried a couple of different things with this. Now this piece was just the paper, just crumpled up without any hand cream or anything at all added. It was just crumpling the paper, and I think this is my favourite of all the pieces. I just love the feel of it, the weight of it, the look of it. I just really like it, and it feels like it would be reasonably durable, certainly easy to stitch it into as art pieces, not because traditionally this Momigami technique is used to make wearable clothes you would wear every day, so obviously it would need to have a better finish on it, but for my purposes I was really pleased with this. Also has a tendency to come apart, to sort of delaminate like this particular type of paper. I'm assuming part of the reason why this has worked out so well is that these are quite good quality papers. They'll have longer fibres in them, so they're going to lend themselves quite well to this technique. The initial breaking them down can be quite hard work. You sort of, well, watch Tori's video, but you kind of start folding the edges in. You've got to be more gentle with it. I was a bit gung-ho to start with. I got better at it as I went along. But yeah, eventually these particular type of papers do start to delaminate and you can pull them apart. And that's what I've done with this one. I've pulled it apart into the two layers. This one felt different though, because I did use, on this piece, I used hand cream just to see what it would do. And I found that it started to make it come apart more than this one did. So yeah, this was my favourite so far, but I've got other things to try now. This was just plain old tissue, like wrapping tissue, like you get in the Schooler box. And I will use this. I love the colour, and if you look very closely, there's a very subtle difference in colour where the wrinkles are, but it is very subtle. A bit too fragile for what I want. I'm not sure how well it's going to work stitching into it. I tried a napkin as well, because I'd love to be able to do. I've got some beautiful napkins. Got some more the other day from Claire, really lovely ones. So I tried it out on a napkin that I've got loads of, and it just kind of completely disintegrated. I had no luck with that at all. Might try again when I get the Konnyaku powder through. And I might have a go with glycerin. Somebody pointed out you've got to be careful with the glycerin. Now I think that was that somebody in our Discord? I can't remember where I saw it now. And there's a word for it. It's a hydro something or other. Whatever the word, I can't remember the word now, but it means that it holds on to water. So if you use too much of it, the paper will never dry. With some of these things, people dye the papers first, put them out in the sun to dry, and that kind of things. All kinds of things. It's a huge rabbit hole. I've got one more to show you that I've already done. So these are I think probably these papers came in with a scrapbook magazine. That's why I've got them in a pack like that. And not the kind of thing I'd particularly use for scrapbooking or card making these days, but I kept them because I just think they're beautiful. I might use them in junk journaling and things like that. They're just one-sided. I thought, well, if I can turn them into like a fabric substitute, I would love them. So I tried with this one, and I think this was a pretty good result, really. And that's how it looks on the reverse, where you've just got the plain white. I probably could keep crumpling this longer. You can see there's still quite a lot of space between the wrinkles, so I probably could keep going, but I think my hands were getting tired by this point. This is the last one I did. And again, yeah, I kept the original piece of paper so you can see the difference. It definitely shrinks, probably at least 5% shrinkage there, and it probably would shrink even more if I worked a bit longer. But it's a really good illustration of the difference in texture when you're finished. And I just love the idea that I can now stitch into this without it all breaking apart. I'm dying to start making little collages. So when I come to do my collage, I've had an idea. I'm going to make a long thin collar, like a snippet roll, really, but with these and whatever others I make. But I need to stitch them onto a fabric base. So this is one of the fabrics that came in that little parcel that Claire sent me the other day. So I thought what I'm going to do is split this into 2 or maybe 3. It's a lovely, what I love about it is that this is paper that I'm turning into a fabric, and this is a fabric that feels almost papery and it's quite lightweight and thin. I don't know what the fabric is or what it's meant for, but I love it, and I think it's going to be great to stitch these pieces onto. And it somehow looks like tissue paper although it's fabric, so I like that. Feels kind of ironic and fun to me. And then I thought, well, what am I going to use for the middle of my snippet roll? What else? So I saved one of our Who Gives a Crap toilet rolls, because these are quite nice sturdy toilet roll middles, and I might eventually just cover this with a decorative paper or whatever, but at the moment I'm going to leave it like that. So I'm going to, can I get 3? I might get 3 out of it, so it'll be really, really long, or I'll just use some of it. I'll maybe just start with 1 strip and see how I go on, and then wind it on. So I just quite like the idea that it's paper, it's on a toilet paper. Go with me here. I know there's a lot of people who are listening to that who are going to think, what is she talking about now? So these are the ones, the last one. Oh, and then today when the glycerin arrived, this glycerin was £4 something from Amazon. The Konnyaku powder, I think I was quite excited because I found some that was only £6.95 for 100 grams, and that should go a long way. Then realised it was £3 extra for postage, so it's just under a tenner, so which is quite a lot really. I can afford it now. Now I've sold all those whatnot kits, so you know that was the idea of doing those. Clear some scraps. I fund my hobby for a couple of months. When this arrived today in the post, it came with this typical Amazon wrapping paper, so I'm going to try some of this as well, because I think this could be lovely. It's not going to be the best quality paper, so it might be that the fibres are very short and it won't work too well, but we'll see. And I know Tom gets endless amounts of this stuff, so if it works out really well, I'm sure he'll save me some as well. Start working on this now. I'm hoping this will be nice with this sheen to it, and I've left the other side blank. I'll probably speed this through. So definitely I need to be more careful than I was being to start with, especially when you're just starting it off, before you start to soften up those fibres. When you put acrylic paint on, it's almost like giving it a kind of plasticky coat, isn't it really? I wonder about different types of gesso and things as well. All sorts of things you could try, just something to sort of hold the paper together. Anyway, okay, see you in a minute. You can see how much that's changed already, and I've only been going on for a couple of minutes. I'm wondering now whether to try seeing what will happen. It's definitely holding together better when you think this is the same kind of paper that I used here. It's holding together better, but it's got a different, it still sounds more papery than this does. You can hear the difference there. I'm just really, that's the same. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's extremely tactile. It's definitely holding together better, I feel, than without the acrylic paint layer. I'm just wondering what will happen if I now use hand cream. Just give myself a bit of a thingy first. Don't get too much on there because it won't go in there where the acrylic paint is. It won't go anyway. I feel like I've now lost all the crinkles, but it's gone very soft. Yeah, I think I used too much hand cream then. That bit of metallic, that little metallic sheen to it. It's going to be lovely in a collage though, isn't it? Okay, let's see what I can do with glycerin. I'm not sure if I just use this neat out the thing or if I should mix it with something first. I should probably mix it. No, absolutely no idea what I'm doing here. I can't decide now whether I want to leave them in just like this, just in a ramshackle pile and pull from them, or if I want to try and sort of cut them into pieces so I can no longer see what they used to be, you know. Make them look like a nice pile of handmade papers. I might do that just because I can't resist. Oops, too much hand cream there. Yeah, if you get it too wet with the hand cream or whatever, it just levels out all those wrinkles, which is a bit of a shame. If you started the wrinkling process, then I added some kind of colour to it, so it picked up the wrinkles, and then flattened it out, I'm assuming it would still stay flexible like fabric, but you wouldn't have actually bumpy wrinkles, but you'd have the pattern of the wrinkles. Yeah, I've got a lot more rabbit holing to do yet with this. Love that. It's so hard to believe that that was a magazine page. I think I can't resist trying to cut these into a nice pile of gorgeous looking handmade papers. I'm probably going to have to do it because yeah. So I'm going to do that one as well in the same way, and I'll just try this which is really quite stiff, weighty cardstock that I had from scrapbooking days, and I'm feeling like I need to I'm going to try just using just a drop of it like that. It's quite a big drop just on my hands. It's sticky. Oh, it's gone all warm. That's weird. And I might need to mix it with water. I don't know yet. Let's see how we go. So I'm just going to start trying to. It's going to be a lot tougher to break down this. In fact, many years ago, I watched a lady on YouTube. Oh, God, so many years ago. I can't remember now what her name was. It might come to me. If it comes to me, I'll link to her. And she took toilet roll middles, sort of softer, more cheapy kind of ones than these. These were probably a bit too solid to do it with. And she used glycerin. And she coloured them with something as well, maybe inks or something. But she made these toilet roll middles just look like they were actually made of leather. Starting to break down now. You can see kind of where I'm going with this. I feel like I'm going to want more of the glycerin, and I won't put water in unless I feel I have to, because it's a whatever that word is, hydro whatever. If I put water in, apparently that means it won't ever let go of the water, so my paper won't ever be fully dry. So it's breaking down quite quickly as I'm talking to you in real time. It's now already becoming much more malleable, and it's not kind of falling apart and making holes or anything like that. You're getting there already, you can see, can't you? And have a little bit more of this. I had to lick it just to see. I can't get over how that feels if you rub your hands together with it. It just feels suddenly really hot. Why does it do that? Anybody knows, please tell me. Quite happy with how that's going so far and how it's starting to feel. I feel like I want to deepen the colour now, and I'm not sure whether to do that with some ink or try adding some hand cream, or shoe polish. I'd have to go looking for that. I'm not sure I want to get shoe polish all over my hands. I think it's going to be ink. Incredible, the textures in there. I wonder if this is going to pick it up very well. It does feel lovely. I wonder if at some point it's going to split into layers. It's starting to feel like it might. It smells amazing in here. Be interested to see how that looks once it dries out a bit more. Right, I'm going to get some ink now. Do a bit of the Amazon paper while I'm waiting. Let's try this with the glycerin again. There's something like, oh, that's so hot when you do it. I can't get over. It's probably way too much. I know. Because what I'm finding with this one is, as I suspected, it's probably quite cheap paper, of course, it's just for packing, so it's probably quite short fibres in there, and the more I work it, the more it's tending to break down. I mean, that will still be lovely for me to use for my little stitched collages, but I don't think I'm going to get anything particularly durable out of this. It's just occurred to me I've got a spray starch somewhere, and now I'm wondering about that. I'm going to have to try it. There we go, so that's this stuff, which is a clear starch and sizing alternative. Let's try it on here, let's see what difference it makes on here. So if I give this a spray, it's curling up. Need to let it dry before I start working it. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now, sort myself out a bit here. I'll come back and show you how these two went and my little pile of bits and pieces that I'm going to try working with, and then when the Konnyaku powder comes through, I'll come back and show you how that goes as well. And then I'll go back to doing what I actually had planned for today. Oh, well, that's good. I've just been talking to myself for 5 minutes. So, oh, I'm rubbish. Okay, so I have done the leathery bit again. Much happier with it this time. This was just with glycerin straight on this card. So it was this sort of heavyweight cardstock. And it's quite hard to get it to show on camera, especially now the light's going to be playing me up. But it does really have quite a leathery look. It feels somewhere between leather and felt. It's very strange. It's extremely pliable, you can see. I'll be interested to see what it's like tomorrow. Hoping it doesn't kind of go all hard overnight when it fully kind of dries out, because it feels slightly damp-ish. It was just the glycerin and that heavyweight cardstock this time, and I really rubbed the glycerin into it, which seemed to sort of bring out the sort of natural texture really well. I'm really happy with that, and I think if you worked into that with some furniture polish or perhaps some shoe polish or something and buffed it up, you could really make that look like real leather. Yeah, it's quite fun, that. And then I did this piece. So this was the original piece I did with that sort of thin one-sided paper, and then this was where I'd used the spray starch on it, and it didn't make a huge amount of difference to how easy it took to how easy it worked or how long it took. I think it's ended up feeling a little bit more substantial, perhaps this piece, a little bit kind of thicker feeling, but I don't think it's a massive amount of difference. So yeah, I've got a huge amount of of experimenting still to do, and I can't wait till the Konnyaku stuff comes so that I can play with that and do it, you know, a bit more the traditional way. Very exciting. So here we go. Here's all my pile of bits and bobs ready to go. I'm going to take them downstairs with me this evening and start piecing them onto my little paper snippet roll. Ready to go on here. Right, let's arrange that, see if I can manage to pick that up as my thumbnail. I will be back in a couple of days to let you know how it's going. I'll show you my progress so far, and maybe I'll wait till the Konnyaku powder arrives so that I can have a go with that at the same time. So I hope you enjoyed that little taster of my first experiment with this new rabbit hole. Don't forget to check out Tori's video though, because she's probably explaining it a lot better than I did, and also the Featherstitch House one. I'll link to both of them below because they're really useful. It's just yeah, this is definitely going to be a fun new rabbit hole to jump into. Okay, thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you again really soon.